This is part 4 of Gog and Magog, the After the Rapture series. And I didn't realize that whenever I got into this, doing it verse by verse, how very detailed it is. I actually try to do some notes up ahead and look at some other scriptures and compare. And looking at today's modern world and seeing what's going on, and it's really an in-depth process. But it is something that I enjoy very much, Bible prophecy. Whenever I look at the news or something and seeing how things are going, whether it's with Ukraine or Israel or elsewhere in the Middle East, it's always fascinating to see how God's working in everything. And we're going to pick up in Ezekiel 38, starting with verse 13. And it says, Sheba and Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Now, history is going to show that Sheba and Dedan refer to Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is the head of the more moderate Islamic states. Now, by moderate Islamic, it means that they're willing to deal with the West and not cut everybody's heads off. Because Saudi Arabia is also the home to Mecca, and it's regarded as the holiest city in the religion of Islam. Now, I think the merchants of Tarshish with all the young lions thereof refers to the area beyond the Mediterranean Sea, notably Great Britain. So that would include Great Britain, Canada, Australia, the United States. So I did some studying, some research on Tarshish, and it seemed to be a stopping place for merchant ships on the western side of Spain. So it wasn't exactly the location of Tarshish, but it was a place where those ships would stop at. And some of the things that it mentions about from Tarshish in the other books of the Bible, some of those things came from Great Britain. So I really think what we're looking at here overall with the young lions phrase, it refers to the Western powers. Now, we can already see that the West is paralyzed against fighting terrorists in the Middle East. And I think this is the hand of God. God is working to remove Western influence, because right after the rapture, when Gog and Magog takes place, God doesn't want the West to do anything about it, because God's going to do something about it. And we also see with the Western powers that their sorties against ISIS are having little effect, and these thugs just keep getting stronger. America has been weakened by poor, indecisive leadership and is already forsaking Israel. America will soon bow to pressure to withhold the veto power for the Palestinian Authority to become a state in the West Bank and Gaza. And by the time of this battle, the West will not lift a finger to help Israel, and it is God's plan so he can receive glory for himself. Because all they're going to be doing, notice here in this verse, is just asking questions. It sounds about like a day at the UN. You know, sitting around just asking questions all day and nothing really ever gets done, except to take away more national sovereignty of people. But it says, Art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey? To carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Well, they know full well what the answer is, but they're not really going to lift a finger to do anything about it, and we already see that in the works right now at this moment. With the threat of ISIS looming larger and larger, people making half-hearted attempts, especially the United States, which is still the number one superpower in the world, not even lifting a finger, really, to stop ISIS in spite of American journalists getting beheaded. So we see a very weakened Western group of nations. And that's what you picture. That is what is pictured here in verse 13. Now verse 14 says, Therefore, Son of Man, prophesy and say unto Gog, Thus saith the Lord God, In that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? See, Gog will be acutely aware, that is the Russian leader, of the lax state of Israel, and the attack will catch them off guard. Israel has a measure of safety now compared to all that the Jews have endured in all the lands to which they were dispersed, and Gog will seek in his craftiness to take advantage of a weakened Israel, because they're already pushing hard. The Palestinian Authority in Gaza, they're wanting Israel to capitulate and to give in to some type of peace treaty. Right now they're proposing a 3-year plan for Israel to withdraw from the West Bank, but Israel's still wanting to build more houses over there. So something's going to have to get resolved with that. And Israel will be in a relaxed state by the time that this battle takes place. Now, let's look at verse 15. And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. So, what I want to do is I got some information off of a website called Global Firepower, and I looked at the top, it shows the top 106 nations of the world as far as military strength goes. And as to be expected, the United States is number 1, but number 2 is Russia. So, now I copied down some information and kind of estimated it, and I didn't copy down all the information because that would just take way too long. But I looked at how many people they had in their army, the number of tanks, the number of fighter planes, and the number of attack helicopters. And I did that for Russia and Turkey and Iran, and also for Israel, because I want to get a comparison. Now, I did not figure in the North African Confederacy because it's going to be a distraction at best. They might have 500,000 people or something, but the main focus of this army is always out of the north parts, from the north parts. That's where we see the main battle. And that's why I say that the North African Confederacy there is going to come up from the south, but it's going to be a distraction at best, just to draw away some troops. So